You know that feeling when you scroll through a dozen product listings, see a gorgeous 65-inch screen that promises crystal clear 4K and bright, glare-free performance, and then you get it home only to discover the picture looks washed out under office lights or the mount is a nightmare to install? I've been there, and it's why I wanted to do a deep dive on the Samsung QM65R before anyone else makes the same mistake. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about why the QM65R lands in a different category than your typical consumer TV. This is a commercial-grade display built for 24/7 operation, which means the internals are engineered to stay on all day without the kind of heat-related wear you see on a home set. That alone changes a lot of the expectations. You're not buying a living room centerpiece, you're buying a piece of infrastructure that will be part of a business workflow. I spent a good few days watching how the QM65R behaves in 3 real-world scenarios that matter to most buyers: a small to medium retail space, a corporate conference room, and a public lobby that runs continuous video loops. In the coffee shop, the biggest question was brightness. The spec sheet says 500 nits, and on the shop floor, where you have a mix of natural daylight and overhead fluorescence, that level actually holds up pretty well. The non-glare coating keeps the menu board readable even when a customer walks by with a coffee in hand and the sun slants across the window. The colors stay vivid enough that the brand's reds and greens pop, and because the display runs continuously, there's no noticeable dimming after a few hours. Next, I set it up in a mid-size conference room that already uses a Cisco WebEx room kit. The QM65R advertises compatibility, and the integration was smoother than I expected. Plug the HDMI from the WebEx box straight into the display, and the on-screen UI shows the meeting controls without any extra adapters. The intelligent UHD upscaling does something you don't see talked about enough. When a presenter shares a 1080p PowerPoint deck, the display scales it cleanly to the 4K panel, keeping text sharp and line art crisp. In a room where you often have 810 participants, that clarity reduces eye strain and makes the presenter look more professional. The slim bezel also means the screen sits almost flush against the wall, which is a subtle but welcome aesthetic benefit for a polished meeting environment. The third test was a lobby that runs a looping video feed of company news, social media highlights, and safety announcements. Here, the real test is reliability and cable management. The QM65R system and design means you don't need a separate external media player. You can feed content directly via HDMI or, if you have a networked setup, push video over Wi-Fi. The built-in cable routing channels keep the power and video cords hidden, which is a big win when you want a clean look without a tangle of wires. Over a week of continuous playback, the screen never flickered, and the thermal management kept it cool enough that the fan noise was practically inaudible, a critical factor when you're trying to maintain a quiet reception area. So, who should actually buy this? If you run a business that needs a dependable, always-in visual display, think retail signage, menu boards, conference rooms, corporate lobbies, schools, or even a medical waiting area, the QM65R checks most of the boxes. The 4K resolution gives you the flexibility to run high-detail graphics or crisp text, while the 500 nit brightness and anti-glare coating make it usable in most indoor lighting conditions without a dedicated ambient light sensor. The 3-year warranty adds a safety net that's rare in consumer-grade screens, so you're not left hanging if something fails after the first year. On the flip side, there are clear cases where you should walk away. If you're hunting for a home theater centerpiece, the price point and the lack of HDR depth compared to premium consumer TVs make it a poor value. The display also doesn't include a built-in smart platform or media player, so you'll need a separate PC, media stick, or network source to drive content. For ultra-bright environments like a large storefront with floor-to-ceiling windows or a gym with floodlighting, 500 nits can start to look a little muted, and you might be better off with a dedicated signage panel that pushes 700+ nits. Finally, if you're a small office that only needs occasional presentations, a standard 55-inch conference TV with an integrated speaker system could be more cost-effective. Let's break down the practical strengths in plain terms. The 65-inch size hits a sweet spot, big enough to be seen from across a room but not so massive that it dominates a modest wall. The 4K panel means even detailed charts stay legible, and the upscaling engine does the heavy lifting when you throw lower resolution content at it. The non-glare surface eliminates the screenshine problem that many reviewers complain about with glossy panels, which is